Revealed, my wife's hidden struggles from an unexpected affair. How I discovered life-changing love. Jack stood in the hardware store he'd owned for over a decade, feeling the weight of the world press down on him. The cheerful chime of the door echoed, a sound that usually brought him joy. But today, it felt hollow. His eyes fell on the spools of wire and the shelving filled with nails, tools, and paint, a familiar sanctuary now invaded by shadows of betrayal. He had always believed in hard work and dedication, pouring his soul into Saturday mornings spent wrenching loose screws and Sunday dinners where laughter echoed off the walls. But now, his heart felt lost. How could he, a man of principle, have caught his wife, Sarah, in a web of deception? Just yesterday, he stumbled upon a series of messages on her phone, a slick businessman's name, a flirtation so cruelly juxtaposed against his steadfast love. His gut twisted. Who was this man? Wealthy, ambitious, and confident. Everything Jack felt he was losing hold of. As he read the words on the screen, his chest constricted, and tears blurred his vision. An affair. His mind raced with the implications, self-doubt creeping in. What was he doing wrong? Their shared dreams of a white picket fence seemed fragile now, hanging by a thread. In the depths of his despair, he sought refuge at the community center. Surrounded by veterans with laughter in their eyes, Jack began to serve them lunches, listen to their stories, and play cards. Here, he met men who, despite grappling with their own losses, radiated resilience and hope. They spoke of love and sacrifice, and that began to bring warmth back to his heart. In their eyes, he found bits of himself. The laughter reminded him of home, a place where neighbors rallied when trouble arose. Week after week, these resilient men honored his presence with friendship. But while he nurtured this newfound solace, his marriage continued to unravel. Sarah's silence suffocated him. The way she avoided his gaze tore at his heart. Every evening felt like a battlefield. Why can't we just talk? He pleaded one late night, only to be met with deflections and cold shoulders. An emptiness settled over them, and he felt a chasm widening that no coat of paint could cover. As tension simmered, Jack resolved to confront Sarah one last time. The moment arrived, and with salty tears streaming down their faces, they sat on the edge of their bed. "I need the truth," he shouted, echoing his heartache. But to his dismay, defensiveness rolled off her like water. Stubborn barriers rose high, exposing all the unspoken resentments that languished in the air. Their argument, filled with hurtful jabs and painful admissions, rang through the house. He stormed away, heart racing, confusion clawing at him. As he stumbled out in frustration, he crossed paths with an old friend, Natalie. Her soft smile illuminated his internal storm. Memories of carefree days bubbled up, their laughter, the innocence of youth. She gently touched his arm and with a knowing look, offered quiet understanding. She was a flicker of hope, yet Jack's heart felt like it was being pulled in two directions. Just then, Sarah appeared at his door, her face pale and desperate. "I need to talk," she whispered, eyes filled with regret. Suddenly, Jack stood at a crossroads: loyalty to his fading marriage or the tender promise of something new? Would he cling to the broken pieces of their life together, or dare to risk everything for the possibility of a new beginning? The question hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty, as Jack faced his next move. Could love truly withstand betrayal? Perhaps it was time to reclaim his heart and carve out the future he deserved. Jack's heart raced as he stood at the threshold, torn between the memories of a tarnished love and the possibility of a new beginning. Sarah's gaze held a mixture of fear and vulnerability, but it was also laced with regret, the kind that only surfaces when reality begins to dawn through the fog of a misplaced choice. "Talk," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. It was challenging. His pulse thudded against his ribcage, the air thick with a tension that felt almost tangible. He reached for the doorknob, hoping that whatever was about to unfold would bring clarity. Instead, it just opened up the floodgates. I made a mistake," Sarah whispered, her voice cracking like thin ice underfoot. "I never wanted to hurt you. I thought I could find what was missing, but missing? Jack's voice rose, the sting of her words shattering the fragile silence. It hung in the air, sharp as broken glass. And what was that? Was I not enough? The weight of accusation wrapped around him like a shadow, the sting exacerbated by her tears glistening against the pale light of their room. Her eyes bore into his with an intensity he hadn't seen in months. I felt so alone, Jack. I thought I could manage everything, our home, our life. But instead of talking to you, I shut you out. I made foolish choices. And then I met him. Imagining her with another man felt like a knife turning in his gut. You could have come to me. We could have worked through it. The words spilled out, a combination of pain and the longing for what they once had. I know, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I just kept thinking that maybe I deserved it, that maybe you'd be better off without me. His heart softened for a brief moment, understanding now that her struggles were deeper than he had initially fathomed. Her battle wasn't just betrayal, it was a fight against her own insecurities. But still, he felt the remnants of anger ripple through him. So, you ran into the arms of someone else? I thought I wanted an escape, she admitted, tears streaming down her cheeks. But the truth is, I found only more pain. I miss what we had, Jack. I miss you. Silence engulfed the room, thick and suffocating. Jack turned away, allowing the weight of her words to wash over him. The memories they shared flooded back, the late-night talks, the shared dreams, the way laughter used to come so easily. But those moments felt like ghosts. Could they ever return after the betrayal? He felt a shift within, a glimmer of hope battling against the shadows. What do you want now? He finally asked, his voice hoarse. I want to try. I want to fight for us, she pleaded, her eyes searching his, filled with desperation. Jack's heart clenched. Was it foolish to believe in second chances? The old wounds ached, yet a part of him wanted to heal. For the first time in what felt like ages, he didn't have all the answers. Just then, Natalie's face flickered in his mind. Could he allow someone else into this tangled mess? With the tender suggestion she offered blooming in his thoughts, he wondered if he could take a leap of faith, either for a shattered marriage or for something entirely different. Jack, Sarah's voice broke through his reverie, pulling him back to the present. Please. I need you. And I'm ready to talk about everything to show you that I can make this right. Standing at the crossroads, uncertainty coiled around him tightly like a vice. The past weighed heavily on one side, while the future glimmered enticingly on the other. Jack had to decide, not only for her but for himself, what it meant to truly reclaim his heart. As he looked deep into Sarah's eyes, a question arose within him: could the roots of betrayal lead to a stronger bond, or would he forever be haunted by the doubt of a love broken? The air hummed with unresolved tension, and Jack felt fate pulling him closer to an unpredictable destiny. But before he could respond, the doorbell rang, interrupting his thoughts. The unexpected sound reverberated through his mind, breaking open the possibilities he hadn't yet considered. Who could be standing there, and would it change everything yet again? Jack's heart leapt into his throat as the doorbell rang again, shattering the fragile bubble that had formed between him and Sarah. For a brief moment, everything felt suspended in time: the weight of the conversation, the emotions swirling around, and the memories crashing over him. The sound of the doorbell seemed to echo, mocking his indecision. Who is it? Sarah asked, her voice quavering like a leaf in the wind. I don't know, he replied, his mind racing. Could it be someone bringing news? Or worse, did they have uninvited guests who would interfere with this already chaotic moment? Let me check, he said, moving toward the door with lead-heavy feet. Each step felt like walking through molasses, the gravity of his situation pulling him down, threatening to drown him in uncertainty. He opened the door cautiously, ready to confront whatever awaited him. The figure standing on the other side was not who he expected. It was Natalie, her face a mixture of concern and confusion. Jack. I was just coming by to she began before her eyes darted over his shoulder, landing on Sarah, who stood frozen in place, a mixture of apprehension and surprise splashed across her features. The unexpected reunion hung in the air like a thick fog. Jack swallowed hard, feeling the clash of emotions within him, the sweetness of seeing Natalie against the agony of the moment he had just been caught in with Sarah. "Natalie, I didn't expect to see you," Jack stammered, trying to regain some semblance of composure. "I thought you might need someone to talk to," she replied softly, her gaze flickering between the two of them. It was a gentle gesture, laced with genuine concern. But in this moment, it felt like an intrusion, the vibrant potential of their connection suddenly overshadowed by the gravity of Jack's marital strife. Glancing back at Sarah, he saw her face tighten, the vulnerability shifting to something more guarded. Jack wanted to reach out to her to speak to the love they once had, but the weight of Natalie's presence created a rift that felt insurmountable. "It's okay, I can come back," Natalie offered, sensing the tension that thickened the air. "No, stay," Sarah said suddenly. The unexpected strength in her voice surprised both Jack and Natalie. "We need to talk. All of us." Jack's heart raced. What had started as an overwhelming confrontation between him and Sarah was transforming into something more complicated. He could feel the heat rise in the room, an emotional smorgasbord of hurt, hope, and need for clarity. "I'll explain," Sarah continued, her voice steadier now, taking a step forward. "You deserve to know where I was coming from when all of this happened." She gestured between herself, Jack, and Natalie, her eyes flickering with determination. Jack's pulse quickened. He knew that this could spiral in any direction, one filled with revelations and perhaps finally touching on healing. But what truths would be laid bare? Could Natalie's presence somehow bring clarity or just a deeper entanglement? As Sarah began to recount her struggles, Jack felt the room closing in around him. There was a certain gravity to their shared history that shimmered, promising to either unlock new horizons or shatter what remained of their fragile bond. With each word that left Sarah's lips, Jack could sense the ground shifting beneath them. He wasn't sure where this would lead, but an inkling of hope flickered in the chaos. What if this moment turned into the very catharsis they needed? What unseen strength might emerge from the darkness? But before he could grasp his thoughts, Sarah's story revealed a startling twist and unimagined detail that left Jack reeling. "And that's when the truth hit me, I wasn't just running away from you." Jack's stomach nodded with anticipation. What else had she hidden? What layers of her past would they uncover together? The room pulsed with charged energy, and as he leaned in, eager for answers, he realized that the day was far from over. Life was about to unveil its most profound lessons yet. Did Jack have the courage to face the truth, regardless of where it led? Sarah took a deep breath, the air thick with unspoken emotions. "I was running from myself, Jack," she said, her voice trembling just slightly. "There were pieces of my life I couldn't face. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't just struggling with us. I needed to make sense of who I was." Jack stared at her, memories of laughter and joy rushing through his mind, clashing violently with the pain of the past months. "What do you mean? What weren't you telling me?" The unease in his voice only matched the tension in the room. "I think I lost myself in our life. There was someone. Someone who made me feel alive, if only for a moment." Sarah's gaze dropped to the floor, shame etched across her features. Jack's heart sank. He had suspected something was wrong, but this revelation cut deeper than anticipated. "You mean, you cheated?" The words felt heavy on his tongue, each syllable dragging along the weight of betrayal. "I never meant for it to happen," she rushed to explain, desperation swelling. "After everything we went through, the kids, the stress. I felt invisible, like I was just a shadow. I thought being with someone else might bring clarity, might make me feel whole again. But it only made things worse. It was a terrible mistake, Jack. I just wanted to escape if only for a little while." Silence hung like a thick blanket, suffocating and omnipresent. Jack's thoughts spiraled, flickering between anger, sadness, and a desperate pang of sympathy for the woman he once knew so well. He felt the bitterness creep in, clawing at his resolve, but he couldn't ignore the pain Sarah was radiating. Natalie stood to the side, her expression unreadable but clearly torn between loyalty and empathy. "Sarah, it takes a lot to admit that. Maybe you can help each other find your way back," she said softly, breaking the tension just enough to allow a sliver of light through the darkness. Jack quickly shook his head, the shake firm with determination. "You think that's the answer? More confusion, more pain?" He felt the heat rush to his face, anger igniting a fire in him that he didn't know he had left. "Your mistakes, they don't just evaporate. They leave scars, Sarah. This friendship is built on broken trust." "I know." Sarah's voice cracked, a tear escaping down her cheek. "I know I messed up. She hesitated, looking deeply into his eyes. "I didn't want to be a burden. I thought you would be better off without me if I could just figure it out alone." Jack felt a wave of empathy crashing over him. He knew how it felt to be lost. He had wandered in the thicket of their marriage as well. But the gulf created between them felt like a chasm now, one that seemed almost impossible to cross. "What about us?" he asked quietly, his heart pounding. "Does this mean, can we fix this? Can we even talk about us?" Her gaze met his, a mixture of fear and determination swirling in the depths of her eyes. "I want to. But it won't be easy. Trust is fragile, and I want to take responsibility for my choices." Jack glanced at Natalie, then back at Sarah, wrestling with the prospect of reconciling their lives. What would it take to truly start anew? Would they ever recover from this? Just as he prepared to voice another question, something deep within him shifted. "Do you even still love me?" His voice sounded like a whisper, a fragile leaf caught in the wind. The room held its breath, absorbing the weight of the moment. Each heartbeat felt like a countdown, promising answers or heartbreak. "I don't know," Sarah replied slowly, her face crumpling with emotion. "But I want to find out. Together." Was that hope he saw flickering in her eyes? Could they truly navigate through this storm? As the tension built, he realized they stood at the edge of something monumental. But were they ready to leap together? Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the next step would either shatter them or bind them tighter than ever. "Then let us start figuring this out together," he finally said, determination growing stronger. But as the words left his mouth, the doorbell chimed again, cold and sudden, a reminder that they weren't alone and that whatever lay ahead, it was no longer just about them. What awaited on the other side of that door could change everything again. Jack's heart raced as the sound of the doorbell echoed in the charged atmosphere. It felt like a jolt of reality, slicing through their fragile moment. He glanced at Sarah, searching her eyes for a hint of what she was thinking, but all he saw was a mix of fear and hope, a reflection of his own feelings. With a deep breath, he slowly made his way to the door, each step heavy with uncertainty. Who was on the other side? Part of him hoped it would be someone who could help, someone who would support them in this dark time. Another part, darker and more anxious, worried it would be a reminder of all they had lost. That he opened the door to find an unexpected face, his sister, Megan. Her bright smile faded as soon as her eyes fell on the tension in the room. "Jack, I just stopped by to check on you guys." Her gaze shifted between him and Sarah, processing the palpable strain. "Hey, Meg," Jack mumbled, stepping back. "Come in." He couldn't quite read her expression, but that small flicker of concern made him uneasy. Why had she really come by? Megan stepped in, immediately sensing the tension that had thickened like fog. "Wow, it feels a little intense in here," she said lightly, but her tone was careful, almost as if she sensed the storm brewing between them. "Just talking," Sarah said, her voice steady but strained. She wiped a stray tear from her cheek and forced a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Nothing major. Megan's brow furrowed. I want to keep you then. I just thought. I mean, you two have been through a lot. I wanted to be here for you. Is everything okay? Jack looked at Sarah, searching for a sign of agreement or perhaps a chance to say the truth together. They had taken a step into the unknown, and here was an opportunity to share that. Not quite, he said finally, feeling like he was exposing their raw wounds to someone who loved them. Sarah just opened up about everything, about her struggles. Megan's eyes widened, and she turned to Sarah, concern flooding her expression. What do you mean? Sarah hesitated, her heart racing. This was exposing herself again, but she knew it was time. I've been trying to figure out who I am, Meg. I've made mistakes, terrible ones, and I hurt Jack. The honesty hung in the air, heavy and honest. There was a vulnerability in her voice that softened the edges of the moment. Megan's mouth opened as she processed the revelation. Oh, Sarah, I had no idea. But what can I do? How can I help? I don't know, Sarah whispered, a wave of defeat washing over her. I want to figure things out with Jack, but it feels so daunting. I think the trust is shattered. Trust can be rebuilt, Megan said gently, her voice firm with conviction. But it takes time and a lot of work. You can't be afraid to lean on each other. You need support from your family, too. Jack nodded in agreement. He could feel the walls of apprehension closing slightly, just enough for a flicker of hope. You're right. But first, we need to confront this openly. Lay it all out. Megan offered a comforting smile. No matter what, you've got a sister who loves you both. I'm here. Sarah swallowed hard, grateful for the unconditional support, but she also wondered how much could they share. Would revealing everything draw her and Jack closer or push them further apart? Just then, a loud noise outside shattered her thoughts. She turned her head, catching the flash of a police car pulling into the driveway. An ominous feeling settled in the pit of her stomach. Was this the universe throwing yet another curveball their way? Do you think it's about us? Sarah asked softly, an unfamiliar panic creeping back in. Jack took a step towards the door, drawn by instinct. He felt a surge of protective energy pulsing through him. Let us find out together, he said, his voice steady. As they approached the front door with cautious steps, the weight of the unknown loomed behind them, echoing the fragile hope they had just begun to rebuild. What awaited them outside could change everything all over again. Would they be ready for the next revelation? As Jack opened the door, a chill swept through him. The sight of the police officer, standing tall with a serious expression, sent his heart racing again. Can I help you? He asked, his voice trembling slightly. The officer shifted his weight, glancing behind Jack and Sarah. I'm here to speak with you about a report we received. Is this a good time? Jack exchanged a quick look with Sarah, whose eyes widened in fear. This wasn't what they had been preparing for. It felt like one more brick ready to fall on their already fragile house of cards. Sure. Come in, Jack replied, stepping aside. The officer entered, and the atmosphere grew heavy with uncertainty. Megan, still standing near the entryway, caught the officer's gaze. What is going on? She asked, a protective edge to her tone. Just a routine inquiry, he replied, trying to sound casual. We received a call about a possible disturbance in the area. I just need to ask a few questions. Jack could see the officer's trained gaze studying their faces, sensing the tension that had taken residence in the room. Do you live here together? The officer asked, taking out his notepad. Yeah, Jack answered, his mind racing. What kind of disturbance? Just a report about shouting coming from this direction. The officer's eyes darted to the floor, and Jack could see him trying to read the unspoken dynamics among them. Oh, Sarah squeaked, her usually steady voice cracking. That must have been earlier. We were just talking. She hesitated, her breathing quickening. It got a little emotional. The officer frowned slightly, yet his demeanor softened. I understand. Emotions can run high, especially with everything that's been going on lately. Just wanted to check in and make sure everything is all right here. Jack couldn't hold back the flood of thoughts racing inside. He wanted to scream, to tell the officer everything that was tearing them apart, but instead, he felt a weight pressed down on his chest. We're okay, he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. The officer nodded, but before he could turn to leave, Megan spoke up, are you sure? It's okay to talk about it. We need to be honest. Her courage surprised even herself. The officer's attention turned completely to her. Sometimes talking is the best thing you can do, he said gently. Jack felt something snap inside him. He didn't want to hide anymore. I messed up. We both did, he said, surprising everyone, including Sarah and Megan. There's a lot we're working through. It's just hard. The officer nodded, sensing their struggle. It's good that you're trying. We all make mistakes, and it's how we handle them that defines who we are. Jack couldn't believe he was taking advice from a stranger clad in a uniform, yet the words resonated. Sarah, fighting back tears, stepped forward. I need help. I want to rebuild, but I'm terrified I'll mess it up again. Look, the officer said, his tone shifting to a more earnest note, it takes time. You can't rush healing. Lean on each other. Seek help. There are resources out there. Jack felt the warmth of hope bloom again, igniting a flicker of determination inside. Somehow, the presence of this officer reminded them that they weren't alone, even amidst chaos. Thank you, Jack said, a sincerity rising inside him. That means a lot. Just then, the officer nodded and stepped back towards the door. Take care of each other. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything more. He offered a last lingering look at them before exiting. As the door closed behind him, Sarah let out a breath she didn't know she was holding, her eyes shimmering with tears. Jack stepped across the room and pulled her into an embrace. They stood together, soaking in the moment, realizing just how precarious but also precious their connection had become. But in that embrace, a thought pierced through his heart, like a nagging whisper. What if this was only the beginning? What more secrets awaited them that could either tear them apart or bind them closer together? As they broke apart, Sarah looked up into Jack's eyes, her expression shifting from fear to a tentative resolve. So, what's next? She asked softly, a spark of determination igniting in her voice. Jack took a breath, feeling the weight of the future on them. They had already faced so much, but he knew the hardest part was still ahead. I don't know yet. But we need to figure this out. Together. Their journey was far from over. Would they find the strength in their vulnerabilities, or would the shadows of their past pull them apart once more? Jack pulled Sarah closer, the warmth of their embrace a stark contrast to the chill that lingered in the air. The weight of unanswered questions loomed between them. He could feel her heart racing as they separated, both searching for a sense of clarity that seemed to flicker just beyond their reach. Let us sit down, he suggested, motioning towards the worn-out couch that had borne witness to countless late-night talks and quiet moments. Sarah nodded, her eyes still glistening with unshed tears. They settled in, the silence thick with unspoken fears and hopes. Megan, sensing the heaviness, shuffled around the room, picking up scattered books and trinkets, trying to distract herself from the tension. You know, she said when she finally found her voice, we can talk about anything that's bothering us. It's not easy, but pretending it's not there won't help. She avoided their gazes, fidgeting with a frayed corner of the couch. Yeah, we can't keep ignoring this. Jack turned back to Sarah, ready to dive into the heart of their struggles. I messed up, you know. I've been too focused on my own pain, it's like I forgot you were hurting too. Sarah placed a hand on his knee, her touch both reassuring and fragile. I'm scared, Jack. What if I can't be the wife you need? What if you don't love me the same way anymore? The vulnerability in her voice caused a ripple of sadness through him. He grasped her hand tightly, searching for the right words. I love you, Sarah. We just have to find our way back to each other. I think admitting we need help is the first step. Megan paused in her tidying, a thoughtful look on her face. Have you thought about therapy? Speaking to someone who can help you navigate this stuff might work better than just talking between us. Jack could see the worry etched in Sarah's features. Therapy? Do you really think that's necessary? It might be, he replied softly. We've both been dealing with so much, and it's okay to seek support. Tears pooled in Sarah's eyes again, but this time, they seemed a mix of hope and apprehension. I don't want to air our dirty laundry to someone else sometimes. Sharing the burden with someone trained to listen can lighten the load, Jack murmured, wishing he could ease her fears. It's not about shame, it's about healing. The room grew quiet, each of them lost in their thoughts. Sarah's fingers tightened around his, as though she were gathering her courage. They stayed like that, letting silence cradle their fears, before she finally spoke. Okay. But I need you to promise me if we do this, we'll be honest with each other. No more secrets. Jack felt a surge of relief wash over him. I promise. We'll build this back, step by step, together. Megan smiled softly, sensing the shift in the room. Just know, you're not alone. You've got each other, and a little bit of love can go a long way. Jack looked at Sarah, and for the first time in a while, he felt a glimmer of hope. I don't expect it to be easy, but I believe in us. As they shared a small, tentative smile, the weight of their shared struggles felt slightly lighter. Yet a lingering thought tugged at Jack's mind, a persistent whisper that hinted at deeper, unresolved issues buried beneath the surface. After the therapy, what if we uncover things that shake us even more? Jack pondered, an unease creeping in. Sarah's gaze met his, challenging him. Then we'll face it. Together. No more running from the truth. Their resolve felt like a fragile truce against the storms they had weathered together. But in Jack's heart, he knew they were at the edge of a cliff, staring into unknown depths. Okay then, he said, a shaky breath escaping his lips. One step at a time. But as the weight of what lay ahead settled over him, he couldn't help but wonder, was the fight to bridge their wounds just the beginning, or a prelude to a truth they might not be ready to face? Jack sat up straighter, trying to shake off the heaviness that sat in his stomach like a stone. Sarah's hand lingered on his knee, the warmth comforting yet distressing all at once. He wanted to believe that the path ahead was paved with reconciliation and understanding, but doubt gnawed at him. Megan, do you really think this will help? Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Megan put down a stack of books she'd been sorting. I do. It's a way to untangle everything you both have been holding on to. Sometimes, you need someone impartial to help you see things clearly. Jack could see the hesitation in Sarah's eyes. She was so used to dealing with everything on her own. She had been carrying this weight for too long, and he felt guilty for not realizing it until now. Okay, we'll give it a shot, Sarah finally admitted. The wavering of her voice made his heart ache. But I can't promise I won't feel scared. That's alright, Jack replied, his own voice unsteady. Being scared is part of it, right? We're going to face whatever comes together. With that, Jack pulled her into another embrace, this one tighter, as if he could shield her from all the uncertainties ahead. He felt her stiffen at first, but then she relaxed against him, letting the tension melt away for a brief moment. Megan's presence felt heavy, yet hopeful. She watched intently, her own struggles momentarily forgotten. I'm here if you need me, she said softly, her eyes bouncing between them. Thank you, Sarah replied, the shimmer of tears back in her eyes. It means a lot knowing we're not alone. As the initial wave of openness receded, Jack felt the gravity of their situation return. They were on the brink of something transformative, but there were pieces he worried might shatter in the process. After we go to therapy, what if we find things that push us apart instead of bringing us together? He asked, unable to hold his thoughts in any longer. Then it'll just mean we need to confront them, Sarah replied, her resolve blooming like a delicate flower in the cracks of concrete. I'd rather face the truth than pretend everything is fine. Her words struck a deep chord in Jack. It mirrored what he was feeling in his heart, a burning desire to lay everything bare, no matter how complicated or painful. They had built their lives around each other, yet the foundation felt fragile. Were they prepared to confront the buried truths? A moment lingered, thick with uncertainty, as thoughts swirled in Jack's mind. Images of their wedding day, filled with hope and laughter, clashed with the insecurities that had crept in over the years. Listen, he began, taking a deep breath. We've both done things we're not proud of. But I believe we can come out stronger. Together. Sarah locked eyes with him, the intensity in her gaze grounding him. Together, she repeated, as if sealing a promise. In that moment, they understood they were stepping into a storm. A storm that would shake the very core of their relationship. Yet the prospect of uncovering deeper, hidden truths felt paralyzing even as it was exhilarating. Just then, the doorbell rang, slicing through the tension like a knife. They jumped at the sound, the unexpected distraction shifting the mood in an instant. What now? Jack murmured, his heart racing again, but this time for an entirely different reason. I'll get it, Megan said, moving toward the door, but Jack could see the worry sweeping across her face too. Sarah and Jack exchanged glances, their minds running through scenarios of what awaited them, both anxious and hopeful. As the door creaked open, Jack felt a tightening in his chest. Who could it be at this hour? And what surprises did this visitor bring that could change the course of their plans moving forward? Megan opened the door cautiously, her body language tense, as if bracing herself for whatever came next. The evening air carried in a flicker of movement, and then Jack's breath caught. Standing before them was a figure he hadn't seen in years. Rachel, he breathed, recognizing his old friend, her face a blend of anxiety and determination. Hey, Jack, she managed, her voice shaking slightly. I need to talk to you. It's important. Jack's heart sank. This wasn't the moment they were prepared for, and he could feel the weight of Sarah's gaze drilling into him. He stepped back, looking to Sarah for guidance. She blinked, stricken, as confusion danced in her eyes. What is going on? Sarah asked, her voice edged with discomfort. Rachel took a deep breath, her hands twitching at her sides. I'm sorry to intrude like this. I didn't mean to catch you off guard. But there's something you need to know. Jack felt the storm brewing again, memories flooding back of a time when everything felt simpler. Can this wait, Rachel? We were just no, it can't. Her urgency sliced through his hesitance. This can't wait. Jack glanced back at Sarah. There was a mixture of apprehension and curiosity on her face, and he knew they were being pulled into something none of them could control. Fine, he said, steeling himself. Come in. Megan stepped aside, allowing Rachel to enter, the atmosphere in the room shifting as she settled into their lives once more, albeit temporarily. Jack gestured toward the living area, and they all took their places, the air thick with unasked questions. I thought you moved away a while ago, Jack said, trying to steady the tide of emotions. What are you doing back in town? Rachel looked at the floor, her fingers intertwining. I came back to deal with some things, personal matters. But I found out something about Sarah that you need to hear. Jack's stomach twisted further. What do you mean? What about Sarah? Rachel hesitated, her courage wavering. I didn't know how to tell you this before, but it's about the woman who's been. She inhaled shakily. The other woman. An icy grip wrapped around Jack's heart. What are you talking about? He demanded. It's not just rumors, Jack. Sarah's past is more complicated than you know, Rachel continued, her voice trembling but growing stronger. I thought it was just gossip, but I've seen the evidence. Jack's mind raced, flashbacks of trust intertwined with betrayal engulfing his thoughts. He shot a glance at Sarah, who wore a mask of disbelief, her breath hitching. Can you just say it? Sarah's voice was a whisper, tinged with fear. Please. Rachel swallowed hard, steel creeping into her voice. Sarah had a close friendship and affair that you didn't know about. I thought it was over, but Jack's heart raced wildly, beating against his ribcage like a drum echoing in a vacant hall. The room spun, reality fracturing around him as he desperately searched Sarah's eyes for truth. I was trying to protect you, Sarah whispered, her own voice breaking. I thought it was behind me. I didn't mean for you to find out this way. What are you talking about? How could you keep this from me? He felt betrayed, hurt burning through him like fire. Tears glistened in Sarah's eyes, and she reached for his hand, but he pulled away. The connection that once felt so secure frayed like old fabric on the edge of a torn quilt. I knew we were at a tough point, but I didn't think she faltered, the heaviness of her past bearing down on them both. Rachel's face revealed the strain of harboring a truth for so long. I didn't want to come here, but people need to know the truth. It's unfair to Jack. Silence enveloped them, thick enough to cut. Jack's mind whirled, and his heart thudded, pulse racing. Questions rattled through his mind, threatening to spill out and alter everything they agreed to face together. Why now? Jack finally managed, frustration boiling over. Because sometimes, Rachel replied, pain shining in her eyes, the past refuses to stay buried. It's time to face it all whether you're ready or not. In that moment, everything changed. Jack and Sarah teetered on the brink of a revelation that could shatter or heal their bond. What would they choose? As the tension wrapped around them like a coiling snake, Jack found himself wondering, could they survive the tidal wave of truth that was about to crash down on them? Jack's heart raced as he processed Rachel's words, shaking with disbelief and anger. How had Sarah kept this a secret? He wanted to scream, to lash out, but the pain stung deeper than any anger ever could. The uncertainty clawed at him. He glanced over to Sarah, her eyes wide with fear, tears threatening to spill over. Sarah, Jack said, his voice low but fierce. Is this true? You can't deny it anymore. I didn't mean to hide it. I thought it was behind me. I thought. She broke off, her breath hitching. I thought I could erase it. I didn't want to hurt you again. But here we are, he replied, every word sharp as a knife. You're still hurting me. You think this is better? Hiding the truth? More pain? I had my reasons. I thought I could change. I wanted to. Her voice rose, catching with emotion. I felt like I was drowning, and I thought if I just kept moving forward, it would all go away. Rachel stepped in. You have to understand, Jack. I told Sarah I would protect her from this, but it was wrong. The truth needed to come out before things got worse. You think this is help? Jack's frustration boiled over. You think dragging this up again helps anyone? Silence wrapped around them, interrupted only by Rachel's hesitant breath. I just couldn't let you keep being blindsided. You deserve to know who you're fighting for, or if you even should. I am fighting for her. Jack shouted, desperation spilling over. But with the echoes of his voice still settling in the air, doubt crept in. How could he fight for a love wrapped in shadows? He faced Sarah, her vulnerability both beautiful and painful. But what are we fighting for? If there's still more hidden beneath the surface, do we even know each other anymore? Jack, she breathed, trembling. I made mistakes, and I hated that I disappointed you. Every time I hid it away, I thought I could find a way back to us without dragging the past along. I wanted to protect you. By erasing me? By erasing the truth? The anger gave way to the anguish that had built up. How do we reclaim what we had when you hold so tightly to your secrets? I want to be better. She pleaded, her voice quaking. I thought I could fix everything without breaking us apart again. But I see now that I was wrong. What if that's not enough? He whispered, a heavy weight settling deep inside of him. Jack, please, she pleaded, tears cascading down her cheeks. I'm ready to face it all. I need you to trust me. Trust. The word hung like a lead balloon in the room. Trust is built on truth, Sarah, he said softly, the frustration ebbing into pain. We can't move forward if there's still a part of you hiding in the dark. Megan watched, her heart aching at the sight of her brother and his wife, the love they had once radiated now dimmed by heartache. It's okay to ask for help, she interjected, her voice steady. You can't face this alone. Neither of you can. Taking responsibility isn't a weakness, it's a road to healing. Jack met Sarah's gaze, searching for the flicker of hope that still simmered beneath the despair. I don't know if I can trust you again, but I want to try. We both need to be honest, even when it hurts. Together? She asked, a trembling note of hope woven through her voice. Yes, he nodded, his heart softening. But this time, you have to promise not to guard your heart from me. No more hiding. As they slowly reached for each other, Jack felt the warmth of their uncertainty fuse into something stronger, a fragile sense of unity. They stood at the precipice of their relationship, ready to leap into the unknown and discover if it would pull them apart or bring them closer than ever. Just then, Rachel moved to leave, but paused at the threshold. I want to be the reason for rupture. I came to help, and I hope you find your way back to each other. Thank you, Jack replied, his voice steadier now. For being honest. As Rachel slipped out the door, silence fell again. Jack turned back to Sarah, brushing his thumb across her tear-streaked cheek. We'll take it one step at a time. We will face this together. Sarah nodded, the resolve in her eyes. Promising that they could rebuild. No more secrets. Together, they stepped forward into an uncertain dawn, hope flickering like a candle in the night. They would fight to reclaim their bond, ready to uncover the roots of their struggles with newfound courage, hand in hand, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Jack inhaled deeply, feeling a shift within, a small but fierce flame igniting. They weren't finished yet. They were just beginning. This was their moment, and it was only the start of a transformation that neither of them could have predicted. Now, if you felt connected to this story, make sure to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive tales of love and transformation. Leave a like now to help support the algorithm, so we can keep bringing stories like this to life. Comment below sharing your thoughts and feelings about this emotional ending because we want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. Only true fans understand the power of community and support. Let us spread the love.